Rev up your engines!
Michael says, hey Scotty, what's the deal with these oil change shops? You go in for an oil change and before you leave they tell you need an air filter, transmission fluid, new oil pan gas, etc. Okay, it's called capitalism. I remember when I was a kid and we were going to New York, my father was going to play bridge and I was riding with him to hang out in New York City and we're going on New York State Thruway. So he goes in those days it was full service gasoline. They filled your car up. Well, you go in, fill it up. Kid tells my father, you need a new air filter. And my father, who ran his own gas station, said, hey kid, I just put a new one in before we took the trip to New York City. You're fully The kid got paid like 50 cents for every air filter sold. It's the same thing that you're going to find here. People are just selling you things that you don't necessarily need. They're told to do it, they get a percentage cut. You need to check all that stuff yourself. Look at it and then you know. If it's dirty, change it. If it's something that is old from mileage or years, put it in a little notebook in your glove box and then you know when you really need it changed. Cooper Sport GB says, hey Scotty, what's your opinion on classic minis? Oh, I love the classic minis. The classic minis. I'm not talking about these modern ones that BMW's making in England. I'm talking about the classic ones. Post World War II, the English wanted a small, reliable car. And they came up with the minis there, the Morris garages, a front-wheel drive, cute little vehicle that was cheap, that could run for a long time, take up a tiny space, and not that slow. I mean, they could zip around. They had no top end. They didn't go that fast. But they're very interesting cars. It was the first real mass-produced front-wheel drive car. And they sold millions of those things. They're a long share away from the modern minis. The modern minis are BMW design. They cost too much. They break down when they get older. They have electrical failure problems. Their automatic transmissions are garbage. The standards are okay. But I like those old classic minis. I think those are neat cars. My neighbor's from England. She had one. She was in England. She still dreams about it. She loved that car. Christopher Gallibert says, Scotty, I'm looking to purchase a classic car, Datsun 240Z. I live on the East Coast, there's a lot on the West Coast. Do you think it's worth the risk of purchasing it from California? Yeah, if you want one that isn't rusted out. Those 240Zs were killer cars. And they're simpler cars too, because the 240Z had carburetors on it. It's not fuel injected. You can fix that stuff easily yourself. And there's many parts readily available. And if you get a car from California that's actually been there the whole time and the frame isn't rotten, you can't go wrong. The car's not going to rust. And if you're going to bring it to New York, my advice is put it up in the winter when the salt's on the road and only drive it in the summer, because you don't want to ruin a classic car like that if you get a good one and fix it up. And they are worth money. They're classic cars and people really like those things. They're pretty well made. Like I said, you can still get parts of those things pretty readily. Sam IM says, hey Scotty, I just got my first manual transmission car. Should I change the manual transmission fluid? If so much, how should I remove and add? Manual transmissions are only splash lubrication. There's gears inside and the oil inside just splashes around and lubricates them. It's not like an automatic transmission that has a pump inside that pumps the fluid and it shifts by fluid pressure. All it is splash lubrication. But that said, it's a good idea to change the fluid every 80,000 miles or so. Now, manual transmissions are easy. There's a drain plug. You take it out and all the fluid drains out. Then you put that plug back in. And then above it somewhere, there's an add plug. And you unscrew that and you pump new fluid in there until it comes out that hole. They're very easy to do. Every 80, 90,000 miles, change the fluid. It'll make them last longer. Eagle Arms USA says, Scotty, would you recommend replacing the lifters that are ticking on a 1988 Bronco 2 or to get something else? People are starting to collect those old Broncos. And lifters aren't all that expensive, If it's in vehicles in good shape otherwise and really doesn't burn a lot of oil, it isn't a clunker that's all worn out, heck, I'd do it. Those old things, they can run a long time and they're simple. Plus, since it's a classic Ford design, there's always parts available for those things. It's not like you got something that you can't get parts for anymore. There's parts that are ready available for those things. And if you don't mind the relatively poor gas mileage that thing gets, for you, I'd go ahead and fix it. Alan ES says, Scotty, what do you think about weird electrical gremlins in older cars? I have an '04 Ranger that only blows AC out of the defrost vents and nowhere else. No heat either. All that stuff. It may be old, but it's modern enough. '04. What happens is your HVAC system, the heating, venting, and air conditioning, that's all run by computers. And you're now stuck in the default, which is defrost. When the system breaks, it goes to defrost and stays there. It's a safety thing, so that when the winter, your windows won't fog up and you can't see or kill yourself. It's not a bad idea, really. But you have a problem in that system. No one knows. It's usually the control unit goes bad and then it won't switch them back and forth anymore. But you're going to have to find a guy like me that has a dealer-level scan tool to do bidirectional testing to see, is this working? Are the actuators working? And you can't do that without one of those computers. It's a very complex system. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.